This is Launching Your Daughter podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now, here is today's episode. Episode 27. Welcome. It's fall at the time of this recording, and the weather's changing, and that means the holidays are starting to come up. And I know for many of you listening today, there's a lot to be thankful for, and I hope you celebrate that with your family. Here in the U.S., we have various holidays that are coming up, and for many people, that's filled with joy, excitement, knowing that you're going to have some time off of work. And for others, it can be filled with a lot of sadness. In today's episode, I want to talk about how you can cope with the family traditions or the rituals that you may do to celebrate the holidays after you've lost somebody. And the person that you've lost could be a parent, it could be a partner, a loved one, it can even be a family pet. All of this impacts the family. It impacts you and how you parent. It impacts how your daughter is coping with school, friendships, all of that. Death and loss impacts all of us. I know after my grandparents had died, this is many, many years ago, it was really difficult for me during our certain Christmas traditions because we would celebrate that at my grandparents' homes. And I know for my dad, it was difficult, that first parent he lost, and the same thing for my mom. And all of this is making sure during the holiday time that, one, you really are gentle with yourself. So if you're the parent and maybe you've lost your parent, it's reminding your kids, your teens, that this may be difficult for you and for them. Being able to acknowledge that, lean into some of the pain and the sadness that comes along with after a loss, and know that it will be different without that person or the member that usually participates in the events. It will definitely be different. So today I want to go through some tools that can help support you during this time and can help support your daughter during this time. One way to help support yourself during this time is to talk to somebody about what you're feeling or experiencing. I know some people are too uncomfortable with grief, so if they're not sure how to support you, that's okay. You may need to reach out to other support people in your life or even to a health professional to get the support that you need during this time. Part of this is, if this is the first holiday without the person, you can really feel sad and lonely, and sharing this with a trusted friend or a loved one or a health professional can help ease the pain. No, they can't take the pain from you, but they can support you during this time. Thing to remember, you don't have to do it alone. The other thing is just stating out loud that you're feeling sad about the loss, about you grieving the loss of that loved one. Also role models to your daughter that she can be feeling the exact same emotions. She may express it a little differently, but it's okay to talk about the sadness. It's okay to talk about the memories, the things maybe you enjoyed about the person, or maybe some of the things that really frustrated you about them as well. I know there's certain aspects of some of our old family traditions that we used to do that I really miss. And then there's others I'm like, whew, it's okay that we've changed it up since then. I'm okay with that. So being able just to talk to one another about it can help each of you move through this pain and loss versus getting stuck in it. Another thing, like what I was saying just earlier, is talk about what you miss about the person or what ritual maybe you used to do together around this time. It's okay to also have a ritual to acknowledge the person that has died, such as, lighting a candle for them, having their photo out during the celebrations, things like that. I remember the first Christmas after my dad's mom died, we talked about the tradition we had done for years, what we had missed, and what are some of the new traditions we were going to create. This helped me acknowledge the sadness and normalized I wasn't the only one feeling it. I still miss my grandparents in general, and I really miss that grandmother because that was our time where we used to cook together for the Christmas Eve, and so I miss being able to do that with her. Another way, third way to really take care of yourself or giving support to your daughter too, is set aside some quiet time to reflect on that person. Cry if you need to. Tears, I know, can feel very, very vulnerable for a parent, and especially for them to show tears in front of their teenagers or their children. And I want to say, please give yourself permission to do that. Not that you need to be sobbing in front of them, but if tears begin to come out, it's a normal healing process to allow those tears to fall. And it shows to your children and to your teen daughter that it's okay to actually feel it. And it's okay to step into that vulnerability and be human, because you miss this person. You loved this person. The other thing you can do when you set aside some quiet time is journal or look at photos or home videos, embracing the sadness versus trying to shy away from it. Really goes back to, again, what Brené Brown talks about. When we don't embrace the so-called negative emotions or the more painful emotions, we also don't allow ourselves to embrace the more joyful ones, positive ones, such as joy and happiness and excitement. We kind of numb ourselves out to both. So when you step into the pain, again, set a time limit if you need to, and then go do something different after that time limit has stopped. All of this gives yourself permission to go into the pain, come out of it, go into the pain and come out of it, versus staying stuck or trying to avoid it. Because the reality is the pain's going to be there, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, that you lost this person, you miss them, and that this is the first holidays without them. When you're done with that time, then again, going and doing something totally different to embrace, the present moment, to where you are, taking a walk, talking to a friend on the phone, all of that, again, helps you you've given yourself permission to go into the pain, and now you can come out of it. The fourth thing is remind yourself that family gatherings are not about perfection, but more about spending time together with each other. If you're not your, normal so-called bubbly self, that's okay. Being where you are is enough and is okay. If the other family members don't understand that, it's not your job to take care of their feelings. It's your job to take care of you. So if you just, if you're acknowledging, this is a difficult day for me, or it's been a difficult week. I think there's the other thing to remind folks of, that sometimes the day of the holiday, maybe you don't feel so much sadness or loneliness. Maybe it's the week or 2 weeks or even just the month in general. You just kind of feel that heaviness. That's normal. That's part of the grieving process. Fifth thing to remember is that if this is too much for you, it's actually okay to cancel the family gathering. This is the time truly to be gentle with yourself. If you don't cancel it and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this at grandma's house, there's just too many memories, it's way too painful for us to do that next month or the next coming months, then pick a different place. Begin to create a different ritual. That's okay. Whatever you all need to do to take care of yourself during this loss is okay. There's no right one way to do things. It's about embracing the sadness. It's about embracing those emotions so that you can continue to move through them. Be compassionate with yourself and one another, and just holding one another in that space and that support, knowing you can't ease the person's pain, you can't take it from them, but by supporting them in a way, you can ease that pain, because it's okay for them to be where they are. It's the same thing with your daughter. If she struggles with being able to say how much she misses grandmother, or maybe she lost a parent, help her acknowledge those emotions, or help support her by just stating where you're at, or making a reflection of, I imagine this is really difficult for you because this is the first year without grandmother and you cooking with her like you used to do, or this is difficult because I know you and grandpa used to go do whatever sort of thing together. Being able to give that voice to your daughter can help her, whether she says it out loud or not, know that she's being seen, know that you're understanding. This is not only challenging for her, it's challenging for you, and that you're there for her. So if and when she wants to talk about it, she can. One thing to also remember that adults experience grief and loss differently than children. So for the younger kiddos in your family, they're more in the present moment, and they may say, "Hey, I miss grandma," and then go off and play with other kids, and they're laughing and they're carrying on. That's normal and natural. As adults, we can sometimes get stuck in our heads and in our thoughts, and then we kind of stay there where we can't bounce out of them maybe so quickly. And that's what I was saying back on part 3, one way to cope with it is set aside specific time just to do some of that reflection. And then once the time is done, whether it's 15 minutes, half hour, 30 minutes, you do that 3 times out of the week. Being able to get out of that helps you manage and feel more in control of those emotions versus the sadness kind of coming up and popping up all throughout the week or all throughout the day and feeling overwhelmed by it. With time, the symptoms of grief should begin to decrease. If your feelings, though, are intensifying or you're withdrawing from others, you're struggling with depression, it's been several months since the death, it may be time to seek professional help. So again, wherever you are located, it's okay to reach out for that mental health professional so that you can get the support that you need. If you're located here in Indiana or even in the Indianapolis area, feel free to get a hold of me. Again, it's launchingyourdaughter.com. So I just want to ask a couple questions. What are you doing to give yourself permission to have compassion for yourself and or your children this holiday season? I want you to think of some ways now that can help you feel a little more prepared for these upcoming holidays. A couple books that I'm going to recommend as well, if you have lost somebody, is by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's kind of known within the grief community and the stages of grief. One book is called On Death and Dying. Another book is on grief and grieving, finding the meaning of grief through the 5 stages of loss. She also has a book called The Wheel of Life. And I'm going to leave you with a quote today. "There is sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are the messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and unspeakable love." This is by Washington Irving. Thank you so much for listening today and for supporting this podcast. You can go out to, again, launchingyourdaughter.com and sign up for my newsletter to get information about the upcoming podcast or upcoming events. I hope you take care of yourself over this holiday season. Thank you for listening to Launching Your Daughter with Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. For more information or to stay up to date, go to launchingyourdaughter.com. You can sign up for my email list or join my Facebook group. Thank you.